listening to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? Oh, yes, you just saw that intro. What? My girl right here. Oh, my gosh. Kylen. I'm just going to tell you, she's amazing. She's amazing. She's got books coming out. She's got book tours going on. And I want to welcome her to the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, what's up, girl? How you doing?
Hey, Yaya, everything is everything. How are you?
I'm doing good, girl. We finally got you.
I love the intro. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so unlike some people, they don't know who you are. So go ahead and introduce yourself for those people who don't know who she is. I know who she is.
For those people who don't know who Kylen is, I'm Kylen Barron, author of Unspoken Truth from a Buried Past, author of a trilogy, I Think Differently, on autism. It's about following one young man's journey from early diagnosis through what is called now or termed outside of autism spectrum disorder, neurodiversity. I have authored 3 children's books in a trilogy with that. And I found a lot of pleasure in writing. That is my go-to, my source in a glass of wine. So, okay, my red wine and my Italian bread with the mozzarella and that's just, ooh, girl, honey, yeah. Okay, that's my snack as I'm writing and I can focus.
I hear that. You made me hungry.
And I got a great idea. But it's people like you, Yaya, that God has put in my life and that I can connect with to get the word out there. I too have an upcoming podcast, and right now it's termed Unspoken Truth. And with that, we speak on we speak of dysfunctional families, we speak of depression, we speak of loneliness, we speak of whatever anyone wants to talk about. They come in and they talk about it to help them feel better. It's really based on my experience from the book Unspoken Truth from a Buried Past and my fractured relationship with my mother that, left a stain on my heart. I have other siblings. It's a total of 8 of us. And in this book, I speak of what finding her son that we never knew of, finding us I was 55 when my brother discovered he had siblings, but my mother had been gone almost 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so the one person who can really put the pieces of this puzzle together and tell this story in order for me to write about this story at the time was her very first husband. I met him for the very first time in my entire life. I found him. I couldn't tell you what this man looked like if he walked by me down the street. So he gave me the story about this baby that was born to them in 1957. And he was pretty much sworn by oath to keep it a secret because the secret what my mom put out there to the masses and to her family, to her mother especially, was that the baby died at birth from a skin disorder. He said it was not a skin disorder. The baby was born white. And oh yeah. And I mean, it was a lot going on there. My mom wound up giving the baby up for adoption, but she sealed her lips after that and kept it to herself, subsequently meeting my father and leaving her first husband behind the trauma that she suffered, internally and emotionally. So writing this book and speaking to this gentleman who has since passed. And I remember saying, how did I meet this guy? I was working in Delaware and I happened to reach out. It was like my mother was sitting shotgun next to me in the car. And she's like, you're in Delaware. She's gone now, mind you. She's deceased and buried. All right. Mm-hmm. And it was like she was in my ear. You need to go see this man because if you want the truth, he's the only one alive that can tell you the truth. All right. Mm. And not knowing where he lived, not knowing his phone number, I reach out to her baby brother, who is my uncle, and I'm going to see him next week. And I asked him for this gentleman's number. And without asking me why I wanted it or why I needed it, he just gave it to me.
Wow.
And I wound up, I never called Mr. Walker. I just went straight to the address that was given to me. and my mother was with me. I just felt her presence, her just presence the entire time with me, just coaxing me and encouraging me to go and see this man and hear his story, because she was no longer here to tell her story.
Mm,
All
mm.
right.
Wow.
And so I did that. And in the beginning, this gentleman met me with severe resistance. He knew who I was, and he kept saying, I'm not your father. And I'm like, I know you're not my dad. I know who my dad is. I need you to tell me about the baby. Now, I was born in 1960, so this was well before I was born. All
Mm,
right. And my brother was born in 1957, so of course we would know nothing. When my father knew nothing, and my parents, she divorced her first husband, I believe, in 1967. By then, my brother and I have a twin brother. We're going to be 8. They got married in 1968. And mom never spoke of this baby that she had
mm.
given up for adoption. You know what she would say? That she lost. All she would say to us throughout the years is, I lost a child. I lost a baby. She never said it was a boy. She never said it was a girl. She just kept saying she lost a baby. That's all she would say.
Wow.
All right. But what she didn't say is that the baby was born alive and that the baby is alive. And what's even more wild is this baby lived moments from us. We live like in Philadelphia, and the baby lived probably 20 minutes from us. He grew up in another part of Philadelphia, you know.
And you have contact with him today?
He unfortunately has not spoken. He found us in 2015, 2014. He found us. He was upset about the book coming out, in all honesty, but the book wasn't about him. And I put it out there. The book was about, really about my fractured relationship with my mother, but
Mm,
it finding him, or him finding us, answered so many questions to the who, what, why, and how. Why was she so dark? Why was she so moody? Why was she so depressed? Why was she so abusive? And she was very abusive. All
mm,
right. But it was what she was holding in internally, because she never sought help for what happened to her. She never sought help to go out and say, listen, I'm my heart is upside down. I'm in a turmoil. I'm abusing my children, especially her oldest daughter, and that was me. And my father could never answer. He would go, why is your mother so hard on you? I could never answer that. And she
mm.
was my grandmother's oldest daughter, you know. But my brother coming into my life, or our life, answered all of those questions. Again, it was like a puzzle that you kind of kept on the table, because eventually you'll find the pieces or you'll put it
Mhm.
away. And it was like when he came into our lives, and even when I initially spoke to him on the phone, all I could say is, this answers an awful lot of questions. That's all I could say.
Wow.
It was so amazing to meet him for the first time. He's a very charismatic gentleman, very handsome. He and his wife grew up in Philadelphia. Of course, I'm in Georgia now, and I grew up in Philadelphia. And they met and married, and they moved to the West Coast. So they're out in California. All right. And but he got a little upset. A couple times I had to kind of check this, because the circumstances that he came into the world under were not fair to him.
Mm,
You understand? And I wasn't trying to, and I didn't. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus. I wanted to get a story out there, because this is not unusual for women, especially women of color in the South, uh, for things to have happened to them. In this case, my mother. Um, the baby was not her husband's. The
mm,
baby is biracial. All right. I don't give that kind of weight to this book. I speak more so on my mother's trauma and why
right.
she reacted subsequently to the children she had with my father, because we never knew of this baby. her husband, her first husband, did not care about the complexion of the baby. And he said that. He made it very clear. And I speak about all of this in the book. So, what I don't give is his biological father that weight. I don't use terms that would depict how, he came here. So I
Right.
let that go. And I speak, I keep this pretty much marginalized towards my siblings, my twin brother, my sisters, that I know we all share the same DNA. All right.
Right. Yeah.
My brother and I share my mother's DNA. And he looks, I would say, like me. I've heard that we look alike. I see it, but what was so phenomenal is that when he came to Philadelphia to meet us, he looked just like my mother's baby brother.
Wow.
That blew everybody away. He looked more like my uncle than my uncle's children looked like him.
Wow.
All right.
But no contact since?
He is, I've tried to reach out to him. They found out it was never a secret that I was going to write this book. That was never a secret. I put it out there to my other siblings if they wanted to participate in writing the book, including to my brother. You can help me. But apparently that wasn't his goal. He did find out who his biological father was, and he found out that he has a sibling. He has a sister in the South, in South Carolina. That story is another total story. But he found out about his sister in South Carolina. He went to go meet her, from what I understand, and he has family up in the New York area. He went to go meet them. That has nothing to do with me.
Right.
It's my attitude. That's your business. That any of that, you got to do what you got to do to heal your heart. All
That's
right.
right.
That's where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at. I got to do what I got to do to heal my heart. All right. Because the abuse that what was sustained by me, that my mother dished out behind my father's back, I'm not even going to sit here and start crying. I had to really find that strength from within. And God, in my eyes, literally, was just showed me that strength. If my strength is in writing that could heal my heart,
Yeah.
then my strength is in writing that will heal my heart.
Yeah.
All right. And I did what I had to do. And I still had my mom in my ear saying, Yaya, I felt like she was saying, I'm so sorry. And it's like I almost felt her tears.
Mm.
All right. Like, I'm sorry. And this is from beyond the grave. All right. I'm sorry. And I don't have no fear. I mean, I wanted my mother's love. I did. I wanted to love her the way I wanted her to love me. And she was just in a place for the majority of her life that was controlling her. She could not control. She did not know. She went from religion to religion trying to find God. She became a Jehovah's Witness trying to figure out, all right, if I become a Jehovah's Witness and if I die, I'm going to come back and live life everlasting. All right. But she was not telling her story. She was not being upfront with her children. So imagine the surprise to, you hear, your father had another child out there. You hear that all the time.
Right.
But not the she in the family.
Yeah.
So hearing about the she in the family was very difficult. It was almost like, are you really trying to send us in cardiac arrest, Mom? So you understand what are you doing? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I love my brother. And whether he speaks to me or not, I'm putting it out there. You are part of us. You are part of us. You look like us. And you're part of Mom. And now we know why she was weird, because on her deathbed, she didn't want to live. She made that very clear. She didn't want to take her meds. She didn't want to, she was ready to go. But she was ready to go and take that with her. All right. Mom, it's time for your meds. She had RCC. She passed away from renal cell carcinoma, which is kidney cancer. She didn't care about the pain. She didn't want to take the meds that would help keep her alive. She didn't want any of that. She wanted to go. It was almost like she was waiting in that line, waiting to meet her maker as she was advancing forward till she took her final breath, you know? But during that period of time when she was on hospice, Yaya, she's calling for this baby, hand me the baby in the chair. She's in her hospital bed. There's no baby in the chair. Mom, there's no baby in the chair. Yes, it is. Hand me the baby in the chair. We don't know who this baby is, Mom. He's there. Hand him to. She would become irate, and her voice would become elevated. Like, Mom, okay, but hospice said she would see and hear things that were not there. And this baby that we thought was non-existent was truly existent. Because he found us 5 years after she passed away. He found us. We would never have known. He found us through the, Ancestry platform?
Yes.
That's how he located us. He says, I don't know how to tell you this. He found me, sent me a message through Facebook Messenger.
Wow.
I don't, he says, do you know, he calls my mother out by her name. And I'm like, who are you? Facebook, who are you? He comes back and he says, well, I don't know how to tell you this. I said, I know who you're asking for. I'm her oldest daughter. I know exactly who you're asking about, but who are you? He comes back and he says, I don't know how to tell you this, but I was born to your mother in June 1957. I was, what? Who? What?
Oh my gosh.
5 years old. My brother and I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
And then he sends me his adoption papers. He starts, pouring all of this information on to me. And my heart was at a standstill. And, he does this before we meet him. And that same night I get on the phone because there is a brother that is older than all of us. So he was the only one we didn't know. But my oldest brother we grew up with. We knew who my oldest brother was. So I reach out to my oldest brother. Tell me about the baby Mom had, because my oldest brother was born in 1953. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the baby Mom had in 1957. And he was very candid. What do you want to know? I want to know about the baby Mom had in 1957. The first thing out of his mouth, he died at birth. I said, he did what? He said, no, the baby died at birth. I said, are you sure about that? He said, yeah, that's what I was told. I said, well, the baby's not dead. The baby is alive and kicking and older than me and Kevin, but younger than you.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I said, I just hung up the phone with him. We literally did talk moments after that Facebook. I was stunned. So he says, what? I said, I just hung up the phone with your deceased brother. Okay. He says, Kylen, I don't know what to tell you because grandmom told me, that Mom lost the baby and I had an angel on my shoulder. I said, he's very much alive. He's very much alive. And
Mom, crazy.
Isn't it crazy? I said, Mom never said any more to you about this child. Mom never discussed it with him. And therefore, she never discussed it with my father either. So she wound up, my grandmother, there's 22 of us grandchildren. And we're still alive, every last one of them. That includes my brother that she never met. My grandmother passed away in 2012, and she never met my mother's second son, which pushed me from number 3 to number 4.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So she had 3 boys before she had her first daughter, and that would be me, and I'm a twin. I'm 17 minutes younger than my brother.
Wow.
And never discussed it, but she was so traumatized behind it, she became abusive behind it.
Wow.
All right. And she thought that by becoming religious that it would save her. It didn't, because it made her even more angrier. It made her even more abusive. But I had to, I could personally, I felt that I should be in a padded room in a straitjacket based on the things. I could tell you some stuff that I do not even want to share
Is it
on
in the
this.
book?
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. Are
It's
you
in.
going to write a series?
I That's everybody asked me that question. Um, it's a possibility. It is a possibility that I might, that's my healing process. I'm
Yeah.
not done healing. I haven't done. I'm not done healing, but there may be a series behind that, but not right away. I would say probably within the next year. Um, I'm going to reach back out to my brother. I have quite a dysfunctional family behind this. And only a couple of us talk, and others are just pretty much checked out,
Yeah.
and I know that my brother, the one that found us, uh, I want him to read the book. I want his wife to read the book.
Mm,
I would rather this family come together and show some kind of compassion for all of us involved, because we were all victims.
yeah.
You understand? Not just him, because I can't imagine his emotional pain, or maybe I can, but he didn't grow up under the circumstances the rest of my siblings. This is a total of 8 of us. That
Hmm.
includes him. So my parents had 5 children together. My mother and her first husband had one child that is biologically his together. All right.
Hmm.
But her first husband felt that this baby, he didn't care about the complexion. So he accepted this baby as his. The
Wow.
problem with that is they did bond with the baby because he brought the baby home from the hospital. They held on to the baby for 15 days. 15 days. That's, you bond almost immediately when you have that baby. I know I
Oh
bonded
yeah.
fine. All right. So knowing you are cradling that baby and coddling that baby and holding that baby and changing that baby and loving that baby, that's that bond. That man was never the same after his son at 15 days old walked out the door and never came back. Not even
Oh
somebody carried. My mother said that she was taking him to Walter Reed, a more of a sanctuary, where she would be able to leave the baby at, um, and give him up for adoption. And he said this to me. He says, "I don't know where your mother went that night when she walked out of here with my son." He said it just like that, but she never made it to Walter Reed. But she never came back with the baby either.
mm.
That broke him.
Oh my gosh.
That he passed away. This gentleman passed away in October 2019. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was 92, 93 years old when he passed away. I met him the summer of 2016. And it was also, my mom was saying, you need to go see him now because he doesn't have a lot of time left.
Mm.
And I did just that. I did not stop. I was in Delaware and I went to his. You have to read the book. You just gotta read the book. And the reviews, I like more reviews on Amazon, but the honest reviews from the people that
Yeah.
are coming in, those reviews are from people I don't even know. So
Wow.
what I see up there are like 12 reviews, and back to back to back, I'm getting the 5-star reviews and maybe
Hmm.
1 or 2 4-star reviews, something like that. And people are giving their honest opinion of this particular memoir. So it keeps me going. And so
Wow. How long did it take you to write it though? I
I
mean, I
started
know you're healing. I know it's
I'm
healing.
still healing. I'm
Yeah.
far from being healed, sweetheart, but talking about it is like it releases a lot of pressure. You
Hmm.
understand? That I'm holding in my heart. I wish my mother were here today. I wish she would, so I could just hug her and hold her and say to her, "Mom," and I would be crying. We would be crying together. "Mom,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. I forgive you, but I love you more."
Right.
You understand? I wouldn't wish what happened to you to anybody. I have children. I'm a mother. I know what it's like to love my child. So anybody who's a mother, if they're a real mom, All right. But to answer your question, I started the book during the height of COVID. And I would take my time in writing, and I finished it up the summer of 2021, and it was released last summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
from like 20. Let me go back. I started writing the book. I had started placing ideas for the book right around the time I met one of the main characters, who was Mr. Walker in the book,
Mm-hmm.
for the
Oh, wow.
first time. So once I got his story in 2016, I was able to reach out to my brother in California and say, this man has a story to tell. He came in, he says to me, you can come in after holding me at bay in his hallway of his apartment. You can come in. I got 10 minutes and I don't have a lot of time to talk to you. This man met me at the front door in a pair of boxer shorts, a white tee. He did military time. That's how he met me, with a steel white afro. It was so neatly trimmed. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking for my oldest brother in him. I don't see him, but I can hear him. So he and my
Mm-hmm.
brother sound alike, my oldest brother. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the weirdest things he said to me was, once I did get in, he says, you got 10 minutes. I have somewhere to be. I'm like, where's this guy going? He's like in his late 80s. Where's he going? Okay.
Wow.
But in the long run, he gave me like 17 full hours of an interview. That particular night, I was there from like about 6 p.m. to almost 2 a.m. in the morning. And I knew that there was a time difference between here and the West Coast. I was still able to reach out to my brother as I left his apartment and said, I need you to meet me in South Carolina. This man has a story to tell. Meet me next month. And he flew out from California to Charleston, South Carolina, and met me in South Carolina. I drove down from Pennsylvania. We were here for the weekend so that he can meet the uncle that he looks just like.
Wow.
Okay. And
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, I started taking those notes around the summer of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing, but I dove in because everything was on lockdown for COVID. I actually dove into I treated it like an 8 hour a day job, but I had my moments in between. So there were times as I was writing, I became emotional about it and I
Uh-huh.
would shut down. I would become too emotional. I couldn't look at writing or paper for a couple of days. I would just ball up in my bed because my mother was just there. She was just there. It was almost like she was over my shoulder. But I also felt that her being there, she was sorry for the trauma she put us all through,
Yeah.
you know? And, today I miss my mom. She wasn't a very kind person, but that's who God gave me. That's
Yeah.
what God gave us. And my thing is, are you strong enough to overcome the adversities that I'm going to put in your way or in your direction? How are you? Show me your strength. Show me that you're strong enough to deal with this.
Mm.
Read the book. I tell everybody, get a copy of the book. And with this particular book, for every copy that's sold, I give away to charities.
Nice.
You'll see this. The charities are for, and you'll also see it on the website, for shelters in various cities, to shelters for women and children of abuse.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, that means a lot to me.
Wow.
That means a
I know we have a lot of different questions that we can ask. The biggest question I'm going to ask you is, what kind of advice do you give to people who are going through this with their parents?
don't. There's a reason. There's always a reason behind every soul. If an individual is going through something similar, and I tell everybody, especially for parents who are still above ground and not 6 feet below ground,
Mhm.
you have a lot of platforms out there today. One of them being the DNA platform, being Ancestry.com. There's plenty of them, but Ancestry is one of the biggest platforms out there. People are finding things out left and right. It's time to start talking. Gone are the days where secrets are swept under the rug. Those days are gone. And I suggest that, because when things like in my situation, in my family situation is uncovered, there can be so much hurt and trauma behind it to some family members may never get over it. I have one sister. Now, mind you, I told you we met our brother for the first time in 2014. My mother was gone for 5 years. She had already been gone for 5 years.
Right.
February 1st, coming up, will be 14 years since she's been deceased.
Wow.
Okay. I have a sister here in Atlanta who has shut completely down and has never met her brother, and she refuses to. All right. And he asked me how come she's never reached out to him. I said, I cannot answer that, honey. Only she can. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot speak for her. But it's not just her. Now there's just other family members. And I don't know what kind of influence he has over him or whatever. But, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. But I will continue to tell my story, whether he hears it or not.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I
Because
got
I
you.
grew up with her and I knew what type of woman his mother was. We grew up with her. He did not. He
Yeah.
was the one who got away. So understand that there was a lot of trauma there, a lot of trauma that I even speak about in the book, not to make this about him. It was more like, now we know why she was the woman she was. So what I tell people is, first of all, I'm going to put you in the direction of my grandmother's words. Put God first. Put God first. Always put God first. Pull your family together. Even if my mother pulled all of us together on her deathbed and said, listen, there's something I need to share with you that you need to know before I go. And she said to us, even if she said, there's a man out there now. Because my mother died not knowing she had 3 additional grandchildren. She did not. My grandmother died not knowing she had 3 additional great grandchildren. All
Mm.
right. You understand? My father died not knowing that this young man ever existed, and my parents were married in 1968.
Wow.
Okay, because my father knew he would have said something. So now's the time to open up. And I'm going to be very open about this. I'm about to turn 63 years old. I'm no young chick. I might feel a little young from time to time, but I'm no young chick. Okay. However, I do have a story to tell. For anybody else out there that's in my shoes, you have a story to tell. For the parents that were born in the 30s or whatever, and you have children that are my age and you're still blessed enough to be alive, be upfront. Talk to your family. There should be no surprises if you know that you're going to leave your family anytime soon based on whatever condition you have that that's going to take you out of here. In my mother's case, it was renal cell carcinoma, kidney cancer. We knew she was dying. That was the best time for her to sit us down and say, I love you. I'm sorry for the atrocities I bestowed upon you. You need to know what's going on with me. And instead, when my brother and sister sat next to her bedside and said, Mom, is there anything we need to know before you leave us? And she says, no, that was not the correct answer.
Uh.
Okay? Because 5 years later, we find out why. So I tell everybody out there, if you love your family, if you're telling your children and your grandchildren that you love them, there's nothing better than the truth. If you've got a secret that you tried to remain or keep a secret, there's nothing better than the truth. They must know, because if you die and they find out, the division is heartbreaking and very difficult. It is
I agree.
heartbreaking. You understand?
I
And
do.
you'll get to, because my one sister feels like my mother betrayed her, and there's nothing in the world. What has she done? She's cut everybody off.
Mm.
There's no reaching her. Another sister is dealing with her own demons, and she's cut pretty much everybody off. All right. There's no connecting with her. And I'm supposed to be the matriarch of the family. I'm the oldest girl. I have no power. I can't talk to them. I can't get them to understand. But they know that what I'm writing in the book is true.
Yeah.
Is true. So for those people who are interested in the book, for those folks that are out there that are interested in the story, buy the book and know that you're buying it for a reason, not just because it's my story, but because it can help other families out who are dealing with trauma, women, emotional trauma, and physical trauma. The shelters are there for those women. The shelters were not in place for my mother who was coming up during that period of time. There were not people, the women of color didn't have resources or access to therapists like they have today. All right. We're talking the 50s. They couldn't go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. They could only go to a close friend who would hear their story. In this case, I don't think my mother told anybody outside of her husband. She didn't have nobody that she can say, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm hurting. I can't stop crying. My heart is heavy. Help me. She left her husband and got into another relationship with my father, who was also married at the time.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
And then they started having children before they got divorced and got married. And my father got involved with a young woman he didn't even know. He didn't know her secret.
Wow.
You
Wow.
understand what
We're
I'm
gonna leave that for the book.
saying?
Don't say nothing else. We're gonna leave it. You guys got to go ahead and get the book. It's at Kylen. No, you can go ahead and say it because I'm probably gonna mess it up.
You can go onto the website, KylenSBarron.com,
That's
or
what I'm gonna say.
you can Google my name and go into Amazon and purchase a copy of the book. But what I do ask everybody to do, if you read a copy of the book, if you purchase a copy of the book, know that a percentage of your purchase is going to these shelters for women and children of abuse. That's important to me because it's something that my mother wasn't able to do. All right. But there's communities worldwide that need those donations. So that's very important to me. In addition to that, leave your reviews. So if you like your read, leave a review. That helps the sister out. Okay.
Okay.
And I ask for that. I'm not begging for it. So that's definitely your choice, but it would be nice. So and also the website. And also I real quick, I have a children's trilogy coming out on I Think Differently. It's about a young man's journey with autism, and it follows him from his early stages of diagnosis to his adolescent years. Pick up a copy. I Think Differently.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. We're gonna go ahead. I have that at the bottom down there. We're
I
gonna go
see.
ahead and put that link in the description box below so that everybody can definitely get those. And I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for your healing. I mean, the
Yeah.
healing is the biggest part of it all.
The healing is always the biggest part, but it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes years to heal,
Yeah.
and I pray that God keeps my heart intact to keep me remaining a decent person and not lashing out behind, my mother's trauma. Um, but I keep God first. I'm going to continue to walk in God's path because that's who leads me. I take God's hand and I keep moving, and that's all I can do.
That's it. That's
All I
it.
can do.
Wow. Well, Kylen, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you so much, girlfriend.
Thank you, and I appreciate you too for
Thank
having
you.
me. You mean the world.
Anytime.
I
Anytime. And we got to do this again.
Okay, all
We'll do
right.
this again. We got to do this again. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different, but don't forget to go to that website. It's going to be in the description box below. So that's KylenSBarron.com. Don't forget to go in the link in the description box, click on it, or copy and paste it. It'll take you straight there. Get that
Awesome.
book because a portion of the proceeds goes to women shelters, and we definitely need to support that. And believe you me, we need to support our fellow, women.
Absolutely.
And
So if you
I mean, I don't want to say, because a lot of times it's not just women who have been battered, but battered can be emotional, it could be physical,
absolutely.
it could be anything, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the shelters are listed, where they should be listed on the website. If not, we'll make sure they are. But the shelters should be listed. So there are several shelters that we do and we'll be donating to, based on the purchase of the book, and the percentage of that will definitely. But what you're saying is, it's not just battered. Abuse comes in various different forms.
Yes.
And that's what we need to. And you know what? It's not just the women. You get the children who unfortunately are innocent in all of this, and they become mixed up in this trauma, not even knowing why. So what can we do to help ease that trauma? That's my mission. That's my
Definitely.
mission. And
That's
that's what
a
I'm
great.
that's my healing. That's my healing right there. If I can help someone who can help someone else, God be the glory. And that's where I'm at right now, where I can take that, and it doesn't even have to be in my name. That's not about, again, it's not about me. It's
Right.
about who I can help get from point A to point B to ease that pain,
Yeah.
that emotional trauma. That's where I'm at. So I'm willing to put that out there. I'm willing to tell my story. So
Thank you. Well, thank
thank
you.
you.
And
Thank
thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different, and the information's in the description box below. Until next time, guys, bye. And you guys can make one for your autism book.
I think differently. Okay.
Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys.
I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare to be different.